So before we dive in, I had a quote that I want to share that I know you guys agree with also, just to kind of get us in the right frame of mind. This is one of my favorite ones. The most valuable resource that all teachers have is each other. Without collaboration, our growth is limited to our own perspectives. I think that kind of frames our time together today nicely.
That's why I'm here.
Yes, absolutely. It's so good.
Conversation I was just having 2 days ago with a classroom teacher, a colleague of mine. Mm-hmm. We should have more opportunity to even just 20 minutes, a building sub to give us 20 minutes to go see another classroom and see what they're doing in there.
Yeah. We know how valuable like interconnected learning opportunities are. It's like when we can bridge across curriculum areas and kind of across our own areas of expertise. Hi, Tim. I feel like it's so valuable to get a minute and a half to kind of get on the same page as other teachers. How are you, Tim?
Doing okay. Sorry I'm late. I was responding to some emails.
It's nice to see you. We're happy you're here. Reminder that we are recording and we're going to share it out when we're finished today. And I just shared that quote that I put into our presentation about when we did gift together, about the most valuable resources that teachers have are each other, and our growth is limited to our own perspectives in their absence. I know you like that one too. We were trying to set the stage for our time together. Alrighty. Tim, do you have the schedule up?
I'm going to put it up right now. I'm going to get rid of my virtual background.
Perfect. Erin had a really good virtual background adventure when we started today.
That was funny. It was actually funny. Another teacher came to me. Can you help me? I put on a screen in my Zoom yesterday, and every time I go in front of the screen, stars show up on my shirt. Like, it's actually really comical, but.
I've had that when you put a filter on while you're teaching and you can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
Alrighty, let's see. Oh my gosh. My mouse is choosing a really handy time to be less responsive than would be my preference.
Yeah, see, it's that kind of day.
I'm glad at least we could be together while it happens. All right, so I think I'm up first with best primary activity for remote kids. I did something really cool with third graders back in like November, I think. We were looking at forces in motion, and I wanted to kind of give them some fun ways to experiment with kind of more specialized examples, I think. When we're in the classroom, I would really lean in to the physical piece and have them build golf courses and use paper plates to build those kind of pinball things, you know, where you can hold the paper plate and make a little maze for it and try to push and pull it through. There's so many wonderful things that you can do in person when we're talking about the physical realities of forces in motion, and so much of that is lost over the remote platform. So I wanted to kind of use it as an opportunity to learn more about interesting things that are on the periphery of forces in motion. So I found this wonderful video on PBS Learning Media that astronauts on the International Space Station recorded to teach kids about centripetal force. That's the one where if you're flinging it around in a circle, everything gets pushed to the outside. So wherever the object that you're flinging in a circle is, every part of it is kind of pushed to the edge, the outer circle of the circle. So I had I had third graders take a look at a good Pear Deck, and I'm gonna share that link with you. I can't remember if I already put it on there or not.
It's up there.
Okay, yep. Perfect. So you don't need to dive into the Pear Deck right now, but I wanted you to have it in case this is something you'd like to run with. What I do want to show you is the video of the astronaut so that you can see kind of what we were talking about, and then I'll explain how I used materials that the kids are likely to have at home to, let's see, there we go, to have them kind of do a physical activity so that we did not completely lose that physical component. So this is PBS Learning Media. You do need to, I think you do need to have an account in order to view it. It is free, and there's 500 million wonderful resources, so I highly recommend it if you're not on yet. I'm gonna scoot him ahead to the right spot. And then I forgot if did you guys hear him say the word randomly?
I could hear him, yes.
Okay, I forgot if I selected, I want you to be able to hear him because he kind of talks through it well. He is spinning around a kind of like a packet of tea, like iced tea. And so it was a good opportunity to explain with the kids how everything is different in zero gravity, and they need to make a lot of accommodations so that they can do things like drink tea while they're on ISS. There we go.
If I were to rotate this thing on the screen, enough planets around this.
There we go.
We're in weightlessness. We have the absence of gravity, and we know that bubbles rise. For what reason? In the presence of gravity, the air is lighter than the liquid, so the air floats to the top. Gravity causes the liquid to go down, and it actually pushes the bubbles up. Does the bubble spread throughout the tea? And if I rotate it?
So he spins it around, and I would like pause it to show the kids. Do you see how there's like a lighter circle that's kind of coalescing in the middle? He spins it around, and the science behind it is that all the heavy stuff, the liquid, the tea, gets flung out to the outside. And just like when you're on Earth, bubbles rise to the top because they're not really rising. What's happening is that the heavy stuff is being pulled down by the gravity. So the bubbles go wherever the heavy stuff isn't. So on Earth, the heavy stuff goes down, the bubbles go up. But when that packet of tea is being flung around in outer space, the heavy stuff goes to the outer edges of the circle, and the bubbles stay in the middle.
The bubbles coalesce to the center of the tea.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that so cool? They make like a perfect circle. Isn't that really awesome? The kids love it, as you can imagine. We usually kind of rewind and play back a couple times and kind of have a review. And this particular clip has led to so many other wonderful questions about what life is like in outer space. Like the kids notice that a lot of the implements and tools and items that they have, they're all tied down. Like you can see some of the cords around them. And we talk about how everything has to be secured because gravity doesn't keep anything down. It led to more wonderful questions like how do they keep their iced tea cold? And we did some research about what kind of refrigeration and freezing items they have available to them. So it just led to so many other good science questions. And I think it was a really good way for us to show some really cool parts of forces in motion that are not available because my classroom has gravity when we're in person. Mm-hmm. Follow up to that demonstration, or to that movie rather. Oh no, I can't find here it is. There we go. I'm gonna make my screen bigger so I can see what I'm doing. What I had them do for a hands-on activity, so we could do something tactile after we watch the video. We know that we're trying to be really flexible about materials that they have and things that they're likely to have at home if we're being remote. So they need any kind of string. I have a ribbon here, but twine or a shoelace or a fishing line or anything that they have at home will work. And I told them any kind of soft thing. I'm just going to use a tissue. but to do a hands-on activity to show that centripetal force flings things outward, you can just tie your soft thing onto your string and then have them fling it around, and they can see that even though the tissue is so light, when we've got gravity, it goes right down, and when we have centripetal force, we can fling it around in a circle. I did give plenty of caveats too about not like hitting pets or bumping over water bottles or your basic safety talk, but it was well received.
Oh, my favorite thing to do when I was a kid, I don't know how I discovered this, but I would go out in the backyard and fill up a bucket with water and spin it as fast as I could, and the water wouldn't come out. And I know that's a little bit dangerous for the kids to be doing at home, but you could take a water bottle like this, take the cap off, tie a string tight around that neck because it won't slip off if you have that ring on there, and really get that twisting, and your water would stay in your water bottle.
Cool.
Centripetal force. Yeah, that was one of my favorite things to do when I was a kid.
It'd be great for like a hot day remote activity, like once we get back into some warmer weather, so that if mistakes are made, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
For them to do outdoors, I mean.
Good teacher demonstration versus don't try this at home kind of thing.
Plenty of caveats would be good.
Yeah.
So that's my number one, and I think I'm second up also for second grade. Properties of water, looking at surface tension game. Second grade has that NGSS standard about water, and we look a lot at the three phases of matter, period, and especially specifically water. So we played this surface tension game. I know with remote kids, I'm always trying to look for engaging ways that they can do learning with their family members, because I think there's a lot of obligation and concern about kind of being forced to work with family members at home, and I feel like anytime we can frame that in a really positive way for them to play a game together or kind of all do some learning collaboratively, I feel like that's really valuable. I've just got a picture that a kiddo submitted to share with you. I'm gonna share my screen. You're gonna see my darling family again in just a minute. I keep minimizing. There we go. So we had done some work with talking about surface tension and talking about the stickiness of water and about how it will continue to beat up until it's too full or too big, or there's too much motion, and then it will kind of spill off. But what I had kids do was get their hands on a couple coins, 1 coin per participant, and have a common container of water in the middle, and then I would use plastic pipettes for this if we were in school, but any kind of utensil works well. These kids used a spoon. I talked to them about how they could use a straw. You know how you can poke a straw into your liquid and like cover your finger over the top and use it to like lift it up, even if it's not like a sophisticated pipette. Mm-hmm. So they had a lot of different options. So they needed to either get a dice from any game that they might have at home, or I sent them a couple links for some online ones so they could get one digitally if they don't have it physically. But they dipped their spoon in. They would each person, whenever it's their turn, they roll the dice, and that is the number of drops that they need to add to their coin. So it's really good fine motor practice that they have to put on that number of drops, and then it goes to the next person and they roll and they have to put on that number of drops. And the goal is to try to take your best advantage of surface tension and try to be the person for whom the water does not flow off the coin. So it was a really fun way for them to kind of work collaboratively with friends or family members or whoever's at home with them. I've done it with groups, like around a common table in real school back when we were in person, and that works well. And I think this is one activity that translates nicely to being at home. I get a lot of good feedback from parents and families about how it was fun to engage and that kind of thing. I feel like it takes a little bit of the pressure off of having to be the person administering your child's school when it's in a fun setting like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my favorite lessons, water is sticky. And I think even the conversation, water is sticky, is fun to have between a kid and their parent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because the first time I do activities like this with preschoolers. And so the first time I talk about what happens when your hands get sticky. Have you ever had syrup on your hands? And what are you going to wash it off with? And they say water. And I say, but water is sticky. No, it's not. And then they go home and they tell their parents that water is sticky. And their parents say, no, it's not. It's a good way for a student then to show off their learning. It's a really engaging, it's not a question, it's a statement. It's an engaging
topic. Yeah.
You really want to get them going, tell them that you can't feel wet. You don't feel wetness.
Okay, what do you feel?
Yeah, tell us about that.
No, it's just like you don't feel cold. I mean, what you're feeling is a loss of body heat. The water's not wet. It's sticky.
It is. And does it conduct the heat well, or because you cool your body down through evaporation, right?
Right.
So that's what sweating does.
So how do you end up feeling cooler? Like if you're in the pool, you feel cooler.
Yeah, you're feeling your loss of body heat. You don't feel cold.
So it's
you don't
not,
feel it
that makes sense.
physically. It's your body working. And I always get the kids confused with that. Oh, I'm so cold. And I said, you're not feeling cold. You're just feeling your loss of body heat.
Yeah. What is that? Hot goes to cold, I think is kind of that general idea, right? So all that body heat that you have.
They're losing it through convection currents. If they touch something, or they're losing it even through radiation.
Right.
I'm super intrigued because I don't teach science.
It's new good stuff. I did not know that we could not feel wetness.
I do water races with the kids too, around surface tension and water domes. So I'll have them use a styrofoam surface or sometimes whiteboard with wax paper on it. And they can put different sized drops on the wax paper to create different sized water domes. You can still talk about the surface tension there. And then you lift it up. Some of the smaller domes will stay, will adhere because of surface tension, and some of them will run down. Every once in a while you can put lines. The kids will figure out they can put lines of dots. So as it travels down, the two different drops will connect and make one larger droplet, and then will travel faster.
Cool.
So that would be a nice extension or a second day activity to your surface tension game.
And another thing you could do with them is take like a beaker full of water and have them build like a sandcastle, pour it on it right above the sandcastle, then get up on a step ladder and pour it. And the sandcastle, because of the air, the water breaks up. That's why you don't get hit with all this water. I mean, if the water was to fall out of the sky in a big bucket, by the time it reaches you, it's rain. I mean, if it was to happen, if they could take all because of the air. And it breaks it up. It breaks it up pretty fast.
Very interesting.
It'd be cool to like video record it and like zoom in and do slow motion and like see that happening.
Dry soil, actually, this is the wrong word. It rejects water. So if you have a house plant that's completely dried out and you're trying to add water to it, the water is just going to kind of create a dome on the surface. Its own surface tension will hold it together, and then it may drain down past all the roots and right out the bottom of your pot.
Wow.
A lot of interesting surface tension experiments you can do.
I think I've seen that happen with
repels water. That's the word I was looking for. Repels water, yeah.
With peat moss, like trying to, because that's supposed to be better. I forget why, like fertilizer maybe, or because it's aerated. Like mixing it into dirt makes your garden better. And I put a bunch of super dusty peat moss down and then tried to water it, and the water like escaped around, and like the water went down into the earth and got, you know, sucked down, drained down, dried up, and the dusty stuff was still on the top.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
All right, Keegan, you're up with personalized emotions poster.
So just to give a little background on this, we had, you know, all of a sudden kids on Google Classroom. That's how we were all teaching. Hey, I'm a third grade teacher. I'm going to hear my slides that I want you to work on. And kids had no idea what they were doing. They had no Google Suite skills. So all of a sudden, in a rush at the beginning of the year, I put together a bunch of these assignments to help students build their Google Suite skills. I'm not going to take 100% credit because I did get some of my ideas from Eric Curtis's website. I put a link to that at the bottom, no applicable category. But he's got a website called Control Alt Achieve. Has some really great teacher resources and some projects on there as well. So the Build Your Own Snowman that I have up there is from him. But I did a couple offshoot projects, and the one I enjoyed is the emotions poster. Of course, I look like a fool. Let's see if it will load. Maybe I can share my screen. Maybe you guys are already looking at it. I don't know what you would prefer.
I'm looking at you. Oh, no,
Or
I'm
I'll
looking
share
at
my
me.
screen. So I took apart some of the took away some of the slides. I have an intro. I've been doing some SEL, like a moment of reflection before the lesson and stuff. So this is just kind of the bare bones lesson. What's today's lesson? I gave them a tour of the slides. So actually I don't need to play that for you. I'll just give you a tour of the slides. So we talked about how, you know, these emotion posters, how are you feeling today, are found in every classroom around the country. And I gave each one of these is a little video. Shows them how to take a picture on their computer and add it to a Google slide. This is how to move pictures around, adding your adjectives. I even made a little quick video about copying, pasting using the control button. Later on, I made a video, quick one, copy pasting with the 2-finger touch on the trackpad. So I tried to make all these little videos so that they could be independent and successful. You can see this is a video that I made earlier for the Create Your Own Emoji project, which was, you know, predated this one. So I gave them all of these videos that they could watch. And then the project is, how are you feeling today? Use adjectives to describe your emotions. And of course, here's my great example. Take a series of photos of yourself using your computer's camera, and then line them up, move them around. And I actually, instead of having them write their own words, because I didn't know if they would necessarily even be able to come up with all of these emotions, let alone spell them. On the last 2 slides, I gave them, depending on what they were wearing that day, some white versions of the emotion words or some black versions of the emotion words that they could just copy, paste onto the pictures that they took. So it was really fun. I had, I almost wanted to show you this, but then I felt bad. I had a couple colleagues do the project along with the kids because they were having so much fun. And just, it was really cute. And to go along with that, I have oops. Then we did, 3rd grade did a Create Your Own Meme. So kind of the same thing. And, you know, memes are pretty popular these days. And so then I put an example up there, the Success Kid meme. Worked hard on a STEAM lesson. Kids at BES loved it. And
Nice.
then, you know, made a copy for each kid. And they got to make their own.
I like that one right
love
there
it.
that you have up. I realize it's
Yeah.
Monday.
Oh yeah, I mean, these are real to me right here. They couldn't be any more real. But yeah, I have a bunch of these projects. I had one which was just, I pulled a bunch of pictures from the internet and had them practice going to shapes and choosing call outs, which are another word, the Google word for speech bubbles. And so they created little mini comics or added dialogue to the different pictures. And so.
I love it. That was so smart to give them kind of a word bank and to give them light and dark so that it would be better for whichever they happen to be wearing. That's a smart plan.
Well, that was also because I was trying to create the example and had a dark shirt and put the dark word on my dark shirt. Yeah. Oh.
Worked very well.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
I missed what you said about the Google. You said the call out. Did you call out? Is that what you said? Call out bubbles?
Yeah, it's called a call out. So
yeah,
you have to go to shapes.
Yep.
Insert shape, and then the shape is called a call out.
That's what I thought you said, but the overhead intercom is going off here.
Oh, okay.
I was like, what are they saying? Are they calling me?
And I have a bunch of these, so I think I shared them as comment, but I'm happy to share them as, you guys can be editors and just make sure that you make copies for yourself if you want to use them.
Those are super cool. I'd love to have them. I think they're awesome.
All right, well, I'll grab everything that I got.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Do you want to go into the build your own snowman?
I mean, it's really the same. The build
Okay,
your
I
own
wasn't sure if
snowman.
you wanted a different moment.
Build your own snowman is straight from the Control Alt Achieve.
Mhm.
So this is it. These are all his slides. He's got some nice directions up there. And then he gives the kids eyeballs and arms and feet and hats and, copy and paste. And then what I ended up having is, as this goes on, kids start building their skills and they ask me questions. How can I change the background? And so I had kids adding backgrounds where there was a picture of a snowplow plowing down the road.
Oh, no.
And they'd put their snowman, into the picture. So it looked like the snowman was about to be run over. So they really took the project and ran with it.
That's awesome.
That is cool.
And I have
Older kids would like this too.
Well,
I'm
that's
talking
Yeah.
all
the
the way
thing.
up to 8th grade.
So what I ended up doing is I had, I have kindergarten through 4th grade, and none of them had these skills across the board. So I had to just kind of differentiate a little bit what my expectations were from the younger kids versus the older kids. So obviously the older kids got into it a little bit more, and I probably should have shared some examples of student work too, but sorry about that.
I love that idea is so applicable for like so many different subjects too. Like I was just thinking about forces in motion. Like you can have them like copy paste of a like a scene of forces in motion in action, like a bowling ball and a ping pong ball, and like show which is what's going to happen. You could have them like make the background true or something. Like if it shows something getting knocked over, they need to copy paste the right size to do it or something. I feel like that's a good it's such a generally applicable skill set.
Yeah, and I had kids that started to find pictures of dragons on the internet and make a slide presentation for me. Dragons are my favorite, Mr. Credere. Look at my slide presentation.
Aww.
So it also allowed them to have enough skills that they could feel independent to go above and beyond.
Awesome.
Do something on their own.
Erin, gizmos?
Well, I moved that, and it's because it's paid.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know if you guys have seen it before, but it's applicable. I think it starts like, I don't know, I used it when I was in middle school, but I think it's like 3rd or 4th grade and up. So I don't know how applicable for you guys. But if you, it's expensive, but it's awesome. The simulations that they have in there for science and math are just really cool. It walks you through just some cool stuff. And I've kind of, like I said to you guys before, grasping at straws this year because I've been on a cart and my day is taken up by pulling books for kids and getting from one space to another and running around and taking kids to the bathroom. It's just it's a very interesting year, and we have all the kids here. So I go, I bounce from like 2nd grade and I'll go right to 8th grade. And I can't bring, I'm sure I could, which would be better ideas, but sometimes I've got the Chromebook cart. I've got my cart with all my lessons for 10 different grades because I bounce around for the week. And I've got to take the books back with me. And then I've got a cart of books for kids to pick from for the younger grades. So sometimes I have 3 carts in the hallway. It's just like, I was just trying to think of things that might be helpful for you guys. So they may not be particularly helpful, but if you have a school that can pay for gizmos, I think it's worth taking a look at it. So.
Thank you. It sounds good.
Where is the gizmos?
Oh, I moved it way down to the bottom. I can put a link.
Oh yeah, there it is. Yep, I see it.
It's just the name of the program. I just think the simulations, they were really helpful teaching math, I found, because there's not a lot of good stuff out there. And I actually got it from the middle school science teacher, and we were able to purchase it together because the science and math department purchased it as one. So
nice.
It was very useful.
Smart.
I think mine is next again.
You're right. Vision boards.
And I didn't know, and I actually didn't get to do this because at the beginning of the year, all I had was iPads, and iPads are really terrible for Google Slides. It just doesn't, well, the ones I have anyway, you just can't do what you can do with the Chromebook or computer with them. Vision boards, I just thought it might fit in for you guys because it's so wide open in terms of thinking and brainstorming pretty much about anything. So I put a link there. The one where I had seen it was from Shake Up Learning. And then this other one is also HyperDocs. Obviously, they're good for everything. And I may have mentioned this to you guys in the spring when we were all at home. I really like this. Her name is Elementary Library Mama, is what she calls herself. She's got a blog and all that good stuff. But these are some free things that she put out when we went remote. And I just like the style of it because she had the kids read about something and then they did a little bit of research and then there's a project attached to it. So it's just that form. And there's 3 in there that she made that are pretty good.
Thank you.
And those ones are free. She has them up free on her website. So
nice.
Awesome. I like the name Elementary Library Mama.
I know. I like a lot of her stuff. She's got good lessons.
Nice. My next one is springs from a desire to try to help highlight iterative learning when kids are remote. To me, that's one of the most central pieces of doing MakerSpace activities. The idea that kids can like kind of take a stab at it and then try it out and see how it works and reflect and make changes and come back and do adjustments and that kind of like circular. I know we've talked in past meetings about like the design model, like how the scientific method is no longer taught in like a linear way, that it's supposed to be kind of a big circle, messy web of like try it out and see how it works and then be reflective and make adjustments, go back, do it again, do it again, do it again. I usually talk to kids in the beginning of the year about things like WD-40 being so named because it was the 40th attempt to get the consistency right, or like the oh goodness, Edison's quote about I didn't fail, I just found 10,000 ways not to make a light bulb. So I love that iterative learning speaks to how important it is to cultivate persistence in the kids and to have them realize that in many real life situations, a right answer is not achievable at the close of class period. And I feel like that's a big thing that we lose when we move online because it's so hard to, we don't have a way to keep kids' drafts or prototypes safe from one week to the next. And we don't have common materials that we can put out for them. I feel like it's difficult for us to guide them through effective learning experiences that feature iteration. So one way that I did that last fall that worked well was to have them use the Layout app. You might be familiar. It's the one that I think sprang from Instagram or was created for Instagram purposes. They have a similar color scheme, so I feel like they're related somehow. But the app is in charge of helping you pull pictures and create a good little collage out of them really easily. So I've in a couple instances this past fall, I had kids turn in their work, but what we emphasized and what was like kind of graded or evaluated was not how terrific their final product was. It was their kind of story of their process. And the way that they demonstrated that visually was with the layout app. I'm going to try something a little bit new for me and share the document camera. There we go. All right, so here's my notes and here's my phone. I want to show you how layout works, just in case you're not familiar. It's this one. You see how it has like the same color scheme as Instagram. So you can you click on it and then it has your all of the pictures on your own roll. Caleb and I made lollipops yesterday, so that's a perfect example of how we used good science. I'm gonna pick a few of pictures from that adventure, and then you kind of scroll through some suggestions on the top about how you want them to be laid out. And so it doesn't really matter for our purposes today how we have that look. You can show the kids how to like switch it around and make one bigger or make it more central. But the point is that the visual that they create. All right, I now need to exit this. There we go, stop share. The visual that they create is the picture of their process. And by using the layout apps, they can kind of be artistic about the pictures of their process that they choose to highlight and how big they want it to be, or which ones are kind of secondary. And I had pointers for them on the our rubric, like about how it had to show something from the beginning-ish and something from the middle-ish and something from the end, so that we could kind of see the transformation of how they made changes to their prototype. And the point was to celebrate the process and kind of shift their idea of what's valuable to the work that goes into it, and kind of away from the final product, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. I like it. And the app looks pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's a free app.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Or at least it was 50 years ago when I put it on. Fingers crossed that's still the case.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think I'm up next too for a second grade activity about mapping. We are always looking for opportunities to be interdisciplinary, and this was a really good one. I know I shared before how this activity worked really well in person. It was the one where we put dirt into the paint trays and had the kids like trace their finger through and make a pathway for the river to flow through, and how we looked at meanders and deltas and kind of parts of a river with our little model of it, which is not something that's feasible to have them do while they're home. So I want to share my screen and kind of take you through, let's see. Thanks for your patience. Alrighty. There we go. Okay, so this is the slides that I turned into the Pear Deck. So I had them view, let's see, I think I can play this and then turn the volume off. I had them look at the same video that I used when we were doing it in person. I love that it's such a good visual way for them to understand. This particular one is what is a river meander. So it talks about how like a little bit of a disturbance in the side of a riverbed can cause over time bigger and bigger changes in the path of the river. It kind of carves out a curve in the side, and then more and more water rushes more quickly and carves out more and more and more. So pretty soon the river has a turn in it. I on the Pear Deck, you can kind of pause and have kids be able to pay closer attention to something when you want them to see an example of it. So the river meander is the curve in the river, the bend in it. So in order to still have the kids be able to see real maps and work with real pictures of what this is like in real life, I took the maps that I had printed out for them to work from in real life and just plopped them into the Google Slides. And their job in Pear Deck, kids are invited to draw on the slides that you put out for them. I'll show you their examples in just a moment, but their job was to look at these map examples that I gave to them, and they had to find and circle 3 examples of a river meander. So I want to see, I think it's here. With Pear Deck, you can see everybody's responses. So I don't think I can make them any bigger. If I click on them, I think it just highlights it that way. But you can see that many students, maybe not all, were able to figure out that direction and circle the changes, circle the curves in the river meander. So they were able to kind of find it that way. And then after that, my direction for them was to create, let's see, I don't think I can talk and find it at the same time. After they found those 3 examples, my job for them to kind of do was to, uh-oh, this is not the right one. I'm going to need to stop talking so I can find it. I had them create a collaborative Google Slides where they did some research and dropped in a picture of a real river around the world that I showed a meander so that they could see like pictures in real life of where the river was. And in their caption, when they were writing down their name, they had to also tell me where where in the world the river was. And then when we had our kind of assessment conversation at the end, I put a world map on for a screen share, and when everybody would share where their river was, we circled it on the world map, and we saw how universal this phenomenon is, and saw how it doesn't matter where you are in the world or what your climate, that if there's a river there, it's going to have meanders because it's a worldwide phenomenon. Let me minimize for a second, and I'm going to. Whoops, turns out I can't minimize. All right, because we're recording.
The way you could do that with older kids would be to turn around and use Google Earth and have them pin it.
That's an awesome idea. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
I agree, probably not with 2nd graders, but that's a really cool plan.
And then you can set up a movie so you can go from river to river to river to river.
That's awesome.
I love ox bows too.
Yeah.
Like an oxbow lake.
Mm-hmm.
How actually, the meander can occur, but then the meander can be destroyed, even cut off from the rest of the river.
Mm-hmm. And it makes that like C-shaped lake.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let me find, I do want to show this to you guys.
Google does have a section that you can sign up for that has pictures of over the last 30 years where you can actually see shots, 1 a year, and how those oxbow lakes are, you can pick different things, deforestation, the lake, the meandering, and how it changes.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can find the
yeah, find that.
While you're hunting, I'll share. I found their slides. So these are pictures of river meanders all over the world that kids have found, and they reported where the location was. So I love it because they're getting to, I mean, it's like authentic technology practice, and they're getting to be interested in these different places all over the world. They're doing their own real research, but it's like accessible enough that they're, oh dear, am I not? I am sharing. Okay, I'm sorry.
We don't.
You're sharing your screen, but we didn't see what you were talking about.
You were showing us.
We only saw your.
Shared the wrong screen. Okay.
I do that.
Sorry.
We've all been there.
You would think that after this amount of time, where I could be good at it. You would think wrong. All right, can you see the beautiful bird and the beautiful lake and the beautiful river?
Yeah, for sure.
So this is their project where they did the authentic research, but it was at a level that was accessible to them. They knew what they were looking for. I had them Google it, but then select images instead of all, because I think so often, especially at second grade level, they just get lost in the text and they aren't strong enough readers to be able to navigate for themselves. So having them copy and paste something from my direction to put into Google and then select images instead of all helped them to kind of get right to what they wanted to. And then it was the copy and paste practice of being able to drop it into a Google slide. Mm-hmm.
They could also search for images through the Google slide.
I didn't know that.
You could go up to Insert, Image, and then search the web.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then all you have to do is click on the image that you like, hit Insert, and it generates right on the slide for you.
I believe that circumvents copyright issues as well.
Oh, really? Like it only shows you the ones that you're allowed to?
Yeah.
Handy. Okay. I liked having them do the research because I feel like getting to use actual Google is like a helpful skill, but it's nice to know that there's also the option to streamline.
Yeah, just throwing out an alternative or a way to differentiate if you want to use that lesson with younger kids or something.
Yeah, I like it. Thank you.
Sorry,
Tim,
I had a wardrobe change and turned my camera off so I could eat the rest of my lunch. My apologies to everyone.
Understood. Tim, you were gonna...
We're recording, so I should not have said that.
No worries.
I thought as well.
Tim, you were gonna find something cool.
I've got, building off of that, I just found, I'm going to hit share screen and I'll show you a couple things here. That's all right. I asked to share screen.
We saw it. It was just.
Yeah, I'm going to get it back. I'm going to hit stop, go through the process again. Do you see it?
Nope, I'm going to see you.
More, but I saw it the last time, but it was just, I think that you have to click on the share. It's almost like in Google Meet, your share screen becomes another person.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
It's showing it up on when I hit share screen.
So, I wonder when you share screen, minimize your Zoom window for us.
Well, that's what I did. Well, I was splitting my screen, so.
Oh, split screen might be the problem.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, it says I can't minimize, so.
Oh, that's it. We can see that.
You can see that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It's
Perfect.
Google Engine Earth. You can sign up. You can sign in as an educator, and it has studies, and you can do your own study. But it has all these insights of scientists that have done different things like scientific humanitarian impact. And you can go to case studies. And there's videos in with a lot of these where you can see actual stuff that people have done once you signed in. And you can see the, let's go back to here. But this is what I was talking about, where you can see data sets, you can explore time lapse. And you see how that changes? Mining, construction, irrigation, meandering rivers. But the neat thing about this is you don't have to go there. You can just spin around the earth and you can see the time lapse. The whole thing's set up for time lapse.
That's awesome.
And you can also get closer to it as you watch it.
PBS Learning Media, the site that had that the astronaut spinning the iced tea bag, they have a bunch of these too. I like that this one gives you so much freedom that you can pick anywhere in the earth to look. But
right. This one's a good one. This is the one I showed the kids last when we were talking about water. But you can take it anywhere and you can see changes. So you're not limited to the other thing too is the NASA is also good. If you go to the NASA website, because you can have the kids watch the astronauts when they're doing a spacewalk and stuff. They've got that stuff running.
that sounds good.
And this is another website. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this.
I have that tab open right now. It's pretty interesting.
I took a workshop from this guy. He is great. He's also got a very good, his educational one is that very good, but this is good for resources, you know, for you to find things and links and phenomenons if you're looking for it and resources.
I think that's on I think that's on our agenda as one of the
it is?
at the bottom.
Oh, I stole it from,
I don't know if
I didn't mean to steal it from anybody.
Great minds think alike.
Yeah.
Did I steal it?
I don't see it, but I believe you.
I'm just thinking that that's maybe how I found it. I might have found it otherwise as well, but.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at today's agenda. You mean like the living document that we usually have to guide our normal weekly meetings?
Yeah, not the agenda, yeah.
Sure. No, I think you're right. That one is called the agenda. I just looked at today's and I couldn't find it, but good to know.
Yeah, our living document.
I don't know. Can I go on with one more website?
Yeah.
Oh, go for it.
Okay, this one is free, but I paid for the extended version. I don't know if you've used Kahoot.
Yeah.
But you can take quick surveys with it.
Who was I just talking about? Keegan, was I just talking with you about Kahoots?
I don't think so.
Somebody, who was it? They had really good ones to share.
You know, and there's, you know.
Tim, it was you on Monday.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, and I've got, you know, I've been putting them together. I showed them the fifth graders film on, because the book only goes into a little bit about things that live under, you know, in caves. So I wanted to show them the Google Earth, the Planet Earth cave film. So we watched the whole thing since they were home in snow days. We watched half of it in one day and half of it the next. But Kahoots also had several Kahoots for Planet Earth, you know, so it fit right in. So I could do an immediate.
There's a lot of them that are searchable. Like they have a really large library of ones that are done already.
And they're photographs too. If you're making your own, and you can look up anything, and they have it, and it's all free to use photos.
I like it.
You did something with caves with your kids? Is that what you were saying?
Yes.
Have you ever seen the Nat Geo 360 videos?
Yes.
Because there's an awesome one of a New Zealand cave with glowworms.
Yeah, they talk about the glowworms in there.
Oh yeah, they do, huh? Yeah, it's awesome. I went to New Zealand and had that experience. It was amazing. So I love.
Wow.
I do always do a little like weird bioluminescence lesson with my kids. So it's a great video to show them.
But there's another bioluminescence that you can do is you get the glow sticks, which you can buy the whole package of 100 for $20 or something.
Yep.
And you have them break up one, and then you have another one that you stick in the freezer. And you check it. You can check it throughout the day. You can check it from day to day. I stuck one in the freezer here at home, and it was still glowing a couple months later. Not bright, but it was still glowing.
Oh.
And you can associate that with deep sea creatures, you know, with their bioluminescence. And it's so cold down there, you know, and how does heat affect this? And why does things still go on?
Yeah, that's a great connection.
Do you know the answer? I don't. I'm just curious about it now.
Everything slows down when you cool it. You know, that's the reason why you get the ice and you get everything comes in.
So is it less bright, or does it do the same brightness for longer?
No, it's less bright. I mean, you're losing the bioluminescence, but you're not, you know, towards the end there. I still have one up there. You know,
So you get long and slow instead of like a burst that ends more quickly.
Right. You're not using up all that energy because you've slowed everything down, which happens with cold anyway.
Caleb and I were reading a book about squirrels adaptations, and squirrel hearts do that. Squirrel hearts do not beat a lot when they are asleep in the wintertime.
Some sort of frog that lives in Alaska that can like freeze itself for, I don't know if you guys have heard about that. It's bizarre, like for years. Like not alive, just freezes itself for the winter.
Like Han Solo.
Well, you get that's like a form of hibernation. I forget what it's called, but they also have
estivation or something.
Yeah,
It's one of those. Yeah.
they have frogs out in the desert that can live without water for 3 years. You know, because they have these what they call kettle holes, and when it rains, they'll fill up, and all of a sudden they're full of tadpoles, and then when they dry, there's nothing there. It's like they all go underneath and they hibernate.
I think there's some reptiles that have a like an antifreeze chemical in their blood, right?
That's the frog. Yeah,
that's how they can freeze and then thaw.
It was bizarre. I learned about it on a trip in Denali or something.
Yep, I've seen a time lapse video of one of those frogs waking up.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can't remember the name of it.
A frozen lump, and then at the end of the time lapse, it's hopping away.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And they got the fish down around Antarctica that have white, clear blood because of the antifreeze in it.
Oh, interesting.
You guys are so cool. My notes page for things that are not directly related to our plans is much longer than my notes page on the awesome stuff we've shared so far.
But this is stuff you can bring up with STEM too. I mean, how would you take this? Because this is examples of how we can take things from nature and use it to benefit ourselves.
Absolutely. And there are a couple NGSS standards that speak to that directly.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, there's like 3 just in 3rd grade alone, I think. Like biomimicry and the adaptations and heredity.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. All right, I've got my last one to share is about making GIFs or GIFs for remote Valentine's Day celebrations. You know how, at least in most of the schools that I've talked to, you're not invited to bring in items to share or distribute. And some schools are fully remote anyway. So you can use giphy.com, giphy.com, to so it's like it's spelled wrong for GIF, like it's a PHY, but it's free to sign up. I think you do need an account, or at least if you're going to save them or share them, you need an account. But you can you have to capture the video of yourself separately and have it saved and ready to go before you log in. But if you have a video that you want to use of yourself, or any URL to another video that you can make, or that you can find, I mean, on like YouTube or something else, let me share my screen and I'll take you through it. I'm going to share the correct screen.
So great. That's on my list of things to do, is how to make a GIF, because I'm so lame. I've never done it before. So thank you for sharing this.
My pleasure. We did it with making river meanders. That video
cool.
that I shared, that I showed you guys on the Pear Deck. I had the kids take their favorite part of the video, and they take like 4 seconds that they really enjoyed, and they made a GIF of it. I still want to say GIF. I'm not converted yet, but they made one of these about it, and they made a caption, and their caption was how I like assessed what their understanding was of how river meanders happen. So this is my GIF of me showing the kids a heart. This is the first kind of landing page after you upload your video, and I think I can go back so I can show you. You can I use this one here to because mine is an MOV file, but you can. I've also used the URL, like I was telling you about the river meander GIF. I just dropped the river meander one in there. I saved mine on my desktop, so it would be handy. There we go. So I already trimmed mine to the amount of time that I wanted, but you can move your like trim the time so that it's short enough, because the biggest problem is that kids get really excited about like an 8-second long one, and that doesn't work very well for a GIF.
Yeah.
So trim your time. Oops, I have to agree. And then the caption part, I'm just going to do Happy Valentine's Day. Oops. You can they can do a lot to change what the font looks like and where it is, and it's super intuitive just in terms of being able to easily edit and move it around. They of course love the crazy font choices and the color options that are available, but it's very friendly. There's a bunch of stickers. I don't love it. We usually, I make a no stickers rule because I'm no fun at all. But you make whatever your choice you would be happy to make. Also on the drawing part, I think I haven't done this before, but I think you can kind of add your own freehand, which is pretty cool. And then when you have it the way that you want it, you save it. Let me see, source URL. I don't remember what to do here. Enter tags. Okay.
Do the kids have to log in too?
I had them log in for mine. I made a separate like teacher one, and I think like it was like Mrs. Jacobs'
excellent.
class, and it was like I am her student or something as the password, so that way they can because I do think you have to have an account in order to do it. So. Let's see. I don't remember. I feel like this looks different than what I did last time. I'm not going to enter a source URL.
There's also I'm just looking at it. It says public on or off, so you can probably make it private.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. I did. Yeah, here. I kept it. I think you have to keep it public if you're going to share it, and I shared it like with their classroom teachers. There wasn't any identifying information for kids, so you might want to make a different choice if you're going to have them do videos of themselves. But it's super easy to when you get to this point to copy the link and be able to kind of share it out. I want to see if I can go to my own. Yeah. Okay. So here's the river meander that kid work that I told you about with how they had captions for their favorite parts. So all of these are on my my own teacher account, but they made them.
Cool.
Megan, I think
go ahead.
Sorry, I think that those links, I'm just looking at I don't see them. They were there earlier and I don't see them on our document now.
Okay, let me see what I did wrong.
There was that and there was something else at the end of it. Oh, maybe it was your art tips that I thought they were right there. Did I copy over it? I looked at the.
Okay, so I see. Oh, you know what? I didn't do.
Well, there it is. Never mind. I see it.
I didn't link to any of my work here. I'll drop the link now for my example.
Well, yeah,
but the giphy.com was all I put there. I didn't have anything hyperlinked.
I just couldn't find it again.
No worries. We spent too much time looking at screens. All right. That concludes my Valentine's Day piece. Keegan, you're up for sensory robots.
Sensory robots are pretty basic. I did it for my IIC classroom, group of special ed kids, because it's just really kind of a sensory experience. You can I have made a bunch of videos for them. None of them are very good, so my apologies. But essentially, they are selling mechanical toothbrushes at the Dollar Tree. And so if it's a small group of kids and you don't mind spending $5, or you can get a classroom teacher that doesn't mind spending $20, you can buy mechanical toothbrush. They cost $1, obviously, because they're from the Dollar Tree, and they're the perfect diameter to go inside of a pool noodle. And so I cut the pool noodle to length, shoved the toothbrush in there, and it also has the on-off button on the bottom instead of on the side. So when you turn it on, it just starts to vibrate. I initially had put the toothbrush at the bottom, and it vibrated a little bit and spun around in a circle, and then did some troubleshooting with those IIC kids, made like 5 different videos for them, and turned out that the toothbrush at the top works a lot better. The weight at the top and the vibrating makes it walk around a little bit. Cool. But we did googly eyes, we did what are those, pipe cleaner arms, so they would jiggle a little bit, and just had kids decorate them. And for those young special ed kids, it was just a treat to have something that, you know, could vibrate and it made noise. And so
sensory feedback like that, that's awesome.
I think other kids would like that too, quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
They might. I mean, you know, every kid wants to build a robot, which I think I put in the video, but no kid can actually build a robot to clean their room like they want or do their homework for them. But something that just wiggles and jiggles is kind of interesting. I think if I could figure out a way to improve it, maybe I would try to use it with some other kids.
I don't know, again, back to budget, what you have in terms of, but there is some sort of, there's some sort of application that you can buy. It's these little, I'll remember it. I'll dig out the PD where I saw it at, and I'll send it your guys' way. I don't know how expensive they are, but we built, like, that was part of the thing that we did at PD, where we actually built these little robots. Like, they give you the little gadget that gets charged, and then you can build them and have a race with them. I don't know if you've seen them before.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. They kind of sell them commercially too, those little vibrating bots, right?
Yeah, it's like a little, okay, so I don't need to find it because you know what it is.
I have one. I have one with a cool little solar panel on top.
Wow.
It's a solar cricket, so it won't work, but when you put it in the sunshine, all of a sudden, I actually freaked my wife out the other day because it was, I was playing it with the kids, and it was sitting on the floor underneath the window, and sometime at like 10 a.m. when the sun finally came through the window, it started buzzing, and my wife was wondering what was going on. But, yeah, anything that the kids can make.
I've done something similar in a PD. I forget what kind of cup you call it, but you like make a cup that vibrate, like a paper cup that vibrates. You can get the motors.
That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and then it's just a matter of like figuring out how to like tape the like connect the wire so that the motor is connected to the battery, and scribble cups, that's what they were called at the PD. That you attached a I don't have a cup on hand, but you attach the writing utensil to the cup, and then when the cup vibrates, you like draw something cute on the paper.
That's a cool
different
idea.
concept, but I think the same thing. It was a cup with it was some sort of small motor that you somehow attached to the cup, but it's been a long time now, as you can tell.
Right.
It's a little offset motor, like you have in a cell phone for the vibrate feature.
Yeah, yep.
So when it starts to spin, it's offset, so it creates that vibration.
Some of them, depending on how you built it in the PD when we did it, some of, they looked like they were walking and we all put them down and there was a race, and some of them just go in circles and fall over and they have to improve on the idea. So it was kind of neat.
Very cool.
That
what do you
is
have,
cool.
Tim?
Whoa.
There's a robot.
Yeah.
This is what we,
What's that movie? I feel like I'm in that. Battery's not included.
Yeah.
Wow.
this is what I do with the 6th grade. We do circuits and then they build robots. This one will use infrared. This one uses almost like a bat. So go down the hallway and it'll see something and it'll turn. When it gets, you can set it for how fast it's going to go and backs up. You can also design them to, kids actually have to build them.
Yeah.
I like it.
I would
It
love
reminds me
to
of,
start some junior robotics program or something.
What happened
Like
there
robotics.
was Pomfret. We were very fortunate. Pomfret a few years ago through Jake Mendelson, who Megan knows.
and loves.
And he was working with Parallax. He was doing some robotic stuff in China, and he was doing stuff with it. I just had my hat on because my hair was cold. He was doing some robotic stuff in China, and he turned around and started talking to a company in California called Parallax that makes a lot of educational stuff and also makes stuff for racing boats, the robotic parts, things like that. And he worked with them to have 2 schools because they were doing it mostly with high school and college kids, some middle schools. And we decided that one school was in Silicon Valley and one school was in Connecticut. We were the 2 schools, the pilot schools. And so we spent a year just having the kids build stuff and explore and changing their curriculum and stuff. And it was really pretty neat because they sent us all this free stuff to do it with.
That's awesome.
And the following year, the school ended up buying some more stuff for me because the program was so good. But now we can't do it. I mean, the kids love the circuits and they fly with it. And what I found was successful because the one in Silicon Valley was actually having problems. They couldn't get through the curriculum, was that they were following the curriculum the way it was written. I basically just we spent a week or so just learning some of the terms. I told the kids I'm only 2 weeks ahead of you on anything I'm teaching. So it became a real push to work collaboratively. And it was incredible how these kids work collaboratively. Figuring things out. They were teaching me stuff. Some of the kids even borrowed stuff over the summer and was building.
Nice.
That's awesome.
It was an incredible experience.
Have you guys done Lego First Robotics?
Not yet.
That's a really good program also for that reminds me a lot of what you were talking about, Tim, in terms of kind of not high stakes, that makes it sound negative, but like very intensive, let's figure it out together collaboration. That the kids need to design a robot to accomplish a number of tasks that are laid out in like some kind of setting that comes on a big piece of paper from Lego. And there's a really accessible coding program that works with the Lego brain that you purchase from the company. And yeah, it's kind of like almost like drag and drop coding. So like a lot of the work is kind of done for you. So the person who's like administering it does not need to be a coding professional, but it's kind of like exists already in buttons, and you can kind of drag and drop and you know, tweak and make adjustments. But the kids get, like, there's this wonderful physical component because they're actually using real Legos to build a thing that's the shape and size and orientation that they need, and then they have to accomplish the tasks that Lego lays out based on what theme of challenge they have on whatever particular year. I did it with sixth graders in Andover, and I don't know that I would go too much lower than sixth grade, unless it's definitely an enrichment group. But it was really good for when we return to like a hands-on in-person kind of setting. It's definitely a super valuable program. They have a more primary grade answer to it, which I did with my third grader. Yeah, oh my gosh, I was just gonna say that. Lego We Do. That's awesome.
I knew it.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I did that with I didn't do it with a whole class because the kits are expensive, so we just got one, and it's better shared between a smaller number of kids. But that is the exact same kind of thing. It just gets more sophisticated with the Lego First.
The Lego First, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They had a first robotics thing at Woodstock Academy about a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was insane. That was just first robotics, not Lego First.
Mm-hmm.
They had huge robots that were shooting baskets and
oh my gosh,
doing all kinds of really interesting things. So
that's amazing.
if they ever host that again, because I think they are now, they have it set up so that robotics teams can go there and train. They have like a training arena at the academy, so I think they'll host another one in the future. So if you're interested in that stuff, I would keep an eye out.
Yeah, definitely.
It was packed. Like,
I bet.
Completely packed.
It's so much fun to I only ever went the year that I ran it in Andover, and it was such a big like a event. Like the kids felt like superstars while they were, you know, participating and showing off what they know how to do.
Yeah.
And like I've never gotten to enjoy such an intensely collaborative experience with kids. But of course we had like some shining stars that rose to the top, but it was truly something that could not have been accomplished without the help of everyone. And after such a long and intensive period of working together, like you could look at the prototype that we ended with and trace back every single person's valuable contributions. And I feel like that was really cool. I feel like often in the classroom when we're encouraging collaborative activity, it's definitely valuable, and we need it and we love it and we do it. But I feel like it often feels like a kind of heterogeneous grouping where the kiddos who are further ahead are leading those who are less far along. I mean, and I think that it's wonderful when they can get so entrenched in a really demanding project that it blurs the lines of capability. I love that when it kind of camouflages and everybody takes huge leaps forward no matter where they started.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing with the circuits, and I have circuits over there. I won't bore you with them, that to show you what the circuit boards look like. You know, I had the kids, the fifth graders were figuring out how to run music through it, and they were doing Christmas songs because it was, you know, just before Christmas. They were doing the sound portion, and just that year of doing that, then when we got to the robots, we were going step by step, and finally the kids said, don't even do this, just let us go with it. And they built them within a week or so, and they were programming them, you know, with the drop-in.
That's awesome.
You know, just like the Legos, because I've done the Legos. I used to teach that down at the it was a Science Center of Southeastern Connecticut. I taught that during the summer, and then it became the DNA.
I love it
Center.
When really engaging activities turn into actual usable 21st century skills too, that not only are we giving them something awesome to do right now, but they're learning in a really authentic way how to do things that will make them skilled in the world that they're going to enter. That's so valuable.
Problem solving is a big thing, and not giving up.
For sure.
Failure, first attempt in learning.
Perseverance is what I always try to sell to my kids.
You know what? I want to add something to that. I'll be right back.
Anybody have control? We can lock her out. No.
Co-host.
I'm not
she's
leaving.
back.
I'm back. Although I have
I've done
headphones.
When I was teaching real fast, when I was teaching classes, sometimes you have the kid that leaves and never comes back,
Aww.
and you don't realize it until you're finished sharing. So we'd all leave, and I'd make them the host, and they'd come back to a blank screen wondering what the heck's going on. They're still on.
That's cruel. I have headphones on, and so I did not hear whatever you said when I came back, and everybody was laughing. So that's like definitely a good self-esteem thing to come back into.
No.
No worries. Okay, so
you'll see the tape.
That's true. I'll have to do playback afterwards. So this is a perseverance trophy that I made. Do you remember when we made the switch to Common Core, whatever, 8 years ago, and all of a sudden there was like an actual math like strand or standard like for perseverance, and we started trying to be deliberate in articulating how a mathematician perseveres. So I made this. I think I was still teaching 5th grade, which was the first thing I ever did as an educator. But we like included the trophy in our like reflective conversations about who persevered and what was an example of how you persevered and what did that look like. So I brought it along to the Makerspace, and whenever we're doing those iterative projects that where they have to persevere all the time, and when there's a lot of failure happening, I like just rested on the desk of whoever I notice is doing a really nice job keeping their momentum strong even in the face of failure after failure after failure. And I love it because the kids got so used to being celebrated in that way. They would start to come up to me and say, Miss Jacobs, he deserves that trophy because he started over when it broke. And I love that they're recognizing like how valuable that is to be able to celebrate perseverance and tenacity like that.
Yeah. And to recognize it in others.
Yeah, absolutely. To celebrate classmates like that's so valuable.
I taught perseverance this year through a series of lessons I called the Zen of paper folding that I did with 3rd and 4th grade, which started with literally just making a perfect fold and ended with origami boxes and paper airplanes. But folding is really a challenge for anyone that hasn't practiced it. So kids were very frustrated at the beginning, lesson number 1, and I decided, we need to build into this series of lessons that idea of perseverance. Mm-hmm. So you can work it into just about anything.
Definitely. I always find whenever I have them doing activities that include folding, I have such a limited vocabulary about telling them like fold it in half and take that piece up here and bring it over, and then the one that's on the side needs to go up. And like I feel like I'm sure proper vocabulary words exist if I were to delve into origami a little bit, but I always notice a big hole in my skill set in terms of clarity of directions that I have a hard time saying what goes where.
Fair enough.
Your document camera comes in.
Definitely.
Your document camera. I used to do some origami with the kids, but that was hugely helpful.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Color coding. Color code a corner.
Yep. Fold
the yellow corner up and that type. The only terminology I know is the hot dog fold versus the hamburger fold.
Right.
One thing I got.
At one point, I'm like, what are you guys talking about? They're like hamburger versus hot dog. It's like 8th grade, and I'm like, okay.
The only terminology I remember is valley, because I used to teach it when I was an art teacher.
Oh yeah.
But that was like that was 20 some years ago. So
yeah, valley fold.
I'm old.
The peak fold.
Compared to you guys. The valley, and we didn't have I didn't have the document camera.
Yeah.
Right. I think it was always a statement too about like my rhythm with whatever particular class, like especially when I became a special teacher and had kind of a different rapport, you know, how it's slightly different with every group that you see. Like if just in terms of the rhythm of when they would look up at me and how they would follow directions, like if it wasn't the case when you give directions and then turn them loose and they go do their thing. But when you're folding and you like tell them to do a step and then they all do the step and then you tell them to do the next step and they all do the next step. Like if they weren't in the right rhythm of like looking up at me when I was doing the next one and then doing it themselves and then like having their eyes back on me when it was time to do the next one, they would be so frustrated because they're, you know, trying their best and they didn't have their eyes on the right thing at the right time. And it was so funny to see the differences between the rhythms that you get into with each class.
I made it work because at the time we were doing all pre-recorded lessons. And so you could pre-record the steps, and then that was great for differentiation again with students. You know, if someone didn't get that first fold, they could just go back and watch the video. Whereas another kid got it first try, they're on to video 2, video 3.
Smart.
So a little, definitely harder live.
Mm-hmm.
I can see
Silver
that.
lining of remote learning. I like it.
Yeah.
Keegan, you talked a little bit about Eric Curtis already. Is there anything more that you wanted to say?
No, but I would check out the site if you're interested in resources. Like I said, some are teacher resources, how to do this and that. He's got some projects for kids up there. Stuff I'd love to do, like create a cartoon with kids using, you know, Google Slides.
Fun.
So, yeah, good ideas on there.
I like it. And then I'm not sure who put on the ideas for STEM at home or STEAM at home.
Those are me. It's just links I found. It's really just stuff to check out. I love Common Sense for all kinds of things. I'm sure you've heard of Common Sense, but it was just a whole page on STEAM. I think it tells you right away if they're free or if they're paid as you go through them. It's just stuff that I looked up that seems neat. So just for browsing, I don't know if
Wonderful.
it's any good because I only looked at it.
Sure.
I've got one more up above that we skipped over.
Sorry.
Not that it's not a big deal. I've just been trying lately. I've found that I had a lot of kids just kind of sitting and listening to me and watching videos and, you know, or doing work on their computer. And I was trying to get them up and moving around their homes when we were full remote. So I did a bunch of or a series of 2 projects, I guess. I'd like to do some more of let's build a blank. And then we brainstorm for a while of what materials you could possibly use, and then kids just go off and try to build it. So they built zip lines the other day, which was really fun because you can use all sorts of materials for the rope, the string, or the trolley. You know, it could be a string, it could even be a fixed object. Like some kids were using broom handles for the string. And, you know, trolley can be made out of anything. People had Legos and coconut.
Oh, that's cool.
I did a build your own snowman with some of the younger kids. They had that option to do the virtual snowman that I shared with you, but then I had kids build their snowman out of clay and Play-Doh, and some kids went out and got real snow and brought it in and made their snowman on a plate. And we had edible snowmen made out of scoops of ice cream and pretzel hands. And so those have actually been some of my favorite lessons, which require not a lot of planning on my end, but really get the kids to think about what possibly they could have around the house. So it just really, you know, highlights their creativity and, you know, like you were saying, their ideation, their just ability to just come up with random ideas, sometimes zany, that end up working really great. An idea that everyone would laugh at or, you know, scoff at even. And then all of a sudden you see them, you know, working, and it's inspirational. So I would just love any other ideas that people have for things that you think kids could build with materials that they have at home. Because now as students are returning to the building, we're returning to a hybrid model. I don't get to see any of the kids in the building. So the only teaching I'm doing is to students when they are at home. It is their only school for that day. In fact, they have 2 specials per day when they are at home. and no specials when they are in school in the classroom.
Really?
Kind of a bummer.
It's a little bit of a bummer. So I take their attendance. That's how we know that they have attended school that day. So they're doing like Zern and, you know, whatever else online stuff that teachers give them, and then attending specials. And that's it.
So there's not live streaming? Like
No,
from the classroom?
yeah, not from the classroom. You know, only with specials.
Hmm.
So it's a little bit of a strange format we're now trying out. But so any ideas, just even random ideas, if I could see if I could make them work. Random building projects, maker projects.
How about making a roller coaster?
Paper roller coasters. I was thinking about that. Or
Cardboard and a marble. They could use a penny if that's all they have.
yeah, or Rube Goldberg machine.
Yeah.
Some of the older students. That's on my list. Yeah, I love it.
I have a Rube Goldberg Pear Deck I can share with you, courtesy
cool.
of you guys know Steph Pye. She's awesome. We did that with 3rd grade in the beginning of the year. That was really good.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I think UConn might even have a website on it. They used to have contests on the Rube machine contests.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm just struggling to, at this point, I feel like we still have half the year left to go, and I'm getting fatigued and kids are getting fatigued, so I'm just trying to switch it up. I'm trying to do lessons that revolve around phenomenon. Like I just did a couple static electricity lessons. So, you know, again, do you have a balloon at your house? Do you have a PVC pipe? Do you have, you know, the extender from the vacuum? There's your plastic PVC pipe that you can rub your shirt on or rub a cloth on. And what can you get to interact with your charged object? And
have you exposed them to PHET, P-H-E-T?
Oh, those are wonderful. I use those all the time. Mm-hmm.
I have not. What are they? Want to tell me about them, Tim?
Yeah, it's here. I'm gonna share screen.
Mm-hmm. I'll bring up my favorite one so I can share it too. I use it all the time.
Well, why don't you go ahead and share it then? I'll hit stop share and you share.
I don't mean to take over. It was a good idea.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I work with women. I know exactly where my place in the world is.
Yeah, in the basement, Tim. That's where your place in the world is.
That's where I am now.
Okay, so PHET, and you just Google like PHET blank simulation, and this is the one that I use all the time for forces in motion. They love it so much that I include it as a preferred activity choice for when they finish whatever they're doing. So you forces in motion, the whole point is to get them to learn about the magnitude of the force and the direction, and that the vector between the magnitude and the direction can tell you what is going to happen to the objects that the forces are working on. So you just simulate a tug of war, and they can have so much fun putting whoever they want to on in whatever order. We do it too with what's that called? Zero sum forces. So like when they're equal on both sides and things stay still, like when you rest anything on a table and gravity pulls it down far enough and the table pushes it up far enough so it stays still. So you can have the tug of war so that nobody wins because it's zero sum. And then when I start talking to like the 3rd graders who can do the math about the sum, then you can click on up here, click on sum of forces, and you can literally see that the sum of the forces is zero.
Zero,
Even though like when we're doing it in class, like we'll call it zero sum, that makes so much more sense when they can see like the forces that are adding, like being added together. So you can even put like the newtons up there so that they can see like exactly measurably how much there is. And it's so valuable too for dispelling misconceptions, like that you have to put the strongest ones at the front, like that it's a really good way for them to kind of play around with it. That's my favorite, but there's a ton. When we do circuits in 4th and 5th grade, like there's a really good circuit one. There's like a bunch of different ways to catch the battery on fire, which is so helpful because they can see why not to do it without actually causing a fire in the classroom, which is the preference.
You can do it with some of the light bulbs too. You should show them the Travoltage one.
Ooh,
Static electricity.
I'm not familiar.
Oh, there's,
That's PHET also?
Yep.
now that I see it, I have used it once. I was trying to do research on vibrations, and I think I ended up at that website once.
Yeah, they've got, they have for sound waves and different types of waves. What happens here? This one.
Is this it, Tim?
That's
I'm a little
it.
nervous. I'm screen sharing something recorded that I've never seen before. What do I do?
Okay, you're gonna, you got to move his leg.
Okay. Whoa.
Oh yeah, charge him.
Oh,
Rub
static.
him on the
And
carpet.
then you can bring
Okay.
his hand down.
Okay. Whoa. Oh.
And he goes,
Drop
ouch, or
voltage.
something.
Oh no. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's hilarious.
Oh, that's
I could see that being very engaging.
They
I am
have ones
sorry,
with
John
balloons
Travolta.
that show how it works. They have atoms. They've got everything you can think of, and they're always adding more. They're free. They're out of the University of Colorado in Boulder.
cool.
Mhm.
I was accepted to their checking new ones out and going through them, but then the COVID hit, so I haven't heard from them. You're supposed to do 3 a year. They'll send you and come up with, and they also have lesson plans. A lot of times teachers will upload lesson plans.
Cool. I'll be sure to check that out.
Here's the site. I knew the one I wanted, so I just Googled what I wanted, but there's a million and one to search through.
And they're always coming up with new ones.
That's really cool that you were going to be a tester for them, Tim.
Not a tester, but checking out web. They look for volunteers, and I haven't done 3, so I'm probably thrown off their thing. You know, I couldn't do it last year because we just went remote, and that's the first one that they contacted me about.
Right.
Not a tester, it's just going through the lesson plan.
Fair enough. All right, at the end of our document for today, I just put a couple resources for teaching on a cart. I think, like I said at the beginning of our meeting, there were a few people, it looks like they weren't able to join us, but a few of them had some questions about how to do a good job teaching on a cart. So I wanted to be sure we included some things from there. I hope it'll be helpful for you, Erin. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them. They had some tips like about organization and kinds of favorite classroom activities that could be changed to work on a cart. Both of those happen to be about being an art teacher on a cart. So I recognize it's not exactly what we're doing, but art teachers are guilty of needing a lot of materials. So I was hoping that maybe that would be something helpful.
Well, I only teach one class in my homeroom, and the rest are all on a cart.
Oh, I didn't know that, Tim. I thought
The kids stay in their homeroom.
Oh, okay.
This way you don't have kids going from place to place.
Mm-hmm.
And everything's wiped down at night. The custodian comes in and just cleans everything.
Mm-hmm.
Remember to keep your windows cracked at least an inch in that classroom. Makes all the difference in the world.
Windows in my library don't open.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
But I'm not in here anyway. I'm on a cart.
Yeah. But I go into other people's classrooms and they luckily will have it open. They saw the study I sent around because the school in the beginning said you didn't have to keep your windows cracked. Then I sent them a study that was out of the New York Times that was from the NIH for classrooms.
That suggested you do need to keep them open?
Keep them open 1 inch. That's, you don't have to do anything more because you keep your door open to your classroom. So you're creating a breeze going through, and just that little bit of air sends everything, the level goes down like this instead of taking a while to go down.
Mm-hmm.
It's a drop, big drop.
Good to know.
And I turn the heat up to 73.
I've never been in a classroom with a working thermostat, like where I've been deemed worthy of deciding the temperature in the ambient room. I guess not counting now. Right now, I'm in the room where the new pellet stove is, and it's lovely.
There you go.
Another silver lining for remote learning. All right, guys, this was awesome. Thank you so
I
much.
think so.
Anybody
I
else
think
have anything they want to
I
share?
think Mr. Coder should come up with his own website, educational website. He's great on it.
Agreed.
The way your actions and the way you talk and you hold things out. I'd watch you.
Yeah, those
But, yeah.
videos are great.
I had to work on it because Erin put me to shame last year when we did our community heart project video. I had some lame virtual background, and she was all dolled up, looking good, and
See, because this is what I normally look like. I'm like,
Well, you saw my video when I just went outside and sat at the, it was freezing out there. Oh, now he's going to play.
oh, I got a couple of reactions. I got a couple of reactions from your video, by the way. John Maloney was like, "Oh man, look at Tim Hotchkiss. What happened to his hair?"
that was fun, whatever you did right there. See, that's why you should.
Oh yeah, it's fun, isn't it?
It is.
That's my next lesson.
Awesome. I was looking for, I know I came across at some point, and I may have shared it on an older document, but I know I came across a website that was like all Makerspace with stuff at home or Steam with stuff at home somewhere, because that's all I do is search stuff. As you can tell, I don't really come up with stuff. I just find it. So I can't find it again, but I'll try.
The Pinterest has a lot. That's where I turn to when I need to know.
Pinterest, but it's hard. I find Pinterest like annoying to sort through sometimes.
I agree.
So I like the websites sometimes that you find it where everything is right there and you can click through and look what you want. You want. So I'll see if I know I've seen it somewhere, but.
I think I'm kind of inspired after our conversation today. I want to dig through all the resources that we compiled for each other that are just like hanging out on the bottom of that living agenda document, because I think there's a lot of really good stuff there, and we haven't called attention to any of it lately. I think it might be helpful to spend a meeting kind of sorting through and re-offering it.
Or even just seeing it again, because I forget sometimes. I look at my notes and I'm like, oh yes, I've been meaning to incorporate that, and it's never happened.
So it's nice that it's there, because it's exactly what I was doing the other day. I was kind of pulling my hair out like, oh, I'm so uninspired, and I just happened to remember to go to that living document, and it was just checking out, opened up a bunch of tabs and sorted through them. And
nice.
So how's Maloney doing?
Like we all are. And I don't know why he's complaining about your hair, because it looks just like his.
Oh, he's got okay.
All right. Let's see. Anything else we should bring up before we bring ourselves to a close?
I want to thank you all for a wonderful afternoon.
Agreed.
I learned so much from you guys.
Great. Thank you, guys.
It was so good. Thank you, everybody. It's so valuable to have this kind of community that we can turn to for really terrific things. I appreciate it. Erin, I hope it was helpful for you. I know that you don't find yourself in exactly this position right now.
That's okay. I like learning anything. So everything you guys share is always useful to me, even if it's just in, the back of my brain for a later time.
Sure.
And if you are not one of the people that's on the meeting right now, but you are sometime later watching this video, please, we appreciate you as well. So make sure that you add your great ideas to the document.
Yeah, I told you.
Your show.
You're hired, Keegan. You're hired.
You it. That's it. That's it.
Great point. Great point.
I'll film you, Keegan.
Now I'm all embarrassed.
Look, he's turning red.
For sure.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
All right.
Stay healthy. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.